Welcome to Google My Maps. Google My Maps is a way for you to create maps, pin points, collaborate, and share these maps with others. I'm going to start by showing you a couple examples, and then we can go from there and show you a how-to on how to create a Google My Map. First, I'm going to start with a map that has plotted points for physical locations. This happens to be a map of Milford Exempted Village School District buildings. You can see on the map there are markers that point out each of the locations. When I hover over them, it will highlight the building on the side. Same here. If I'm clicking on Pattison Elementary, it will take me to the marker for Pattison Elementary, bring up information here where I can add additional information. Each of the pins that I've dropped here on this location, I can change the color and style. I can add information by typing in this box, saving it. I can also add images. This location also gives me the coordinates. To add things to a map, you can simply type in the name of them, if there are places here, or you can look them up by coordinates or a physical address. Within this map, I can zoom in and out to get a closer view of this map and see all the points that I have pinned. I can also share this map to collaborate with others. Click on any of the locations, it will take me to the pin that I've dropped and give me more information about this pin. The next map I want to show with you is one where you can use Google Maps to create kind of a timeline effect. In this one, I'm going to use the Famous Ohioans example. In this case, the students were researching famous Ohioans and following them through their life. In this particular famous Ohioan, I was able to locate information about the person's life by doing the research, and the students will be able to add this not only to a document or a presentation, but they can add this information to a map. The first pin I added to the map was the city of Worcester. Arthur Compton was born in Worcester in 1892. I was able to type this information here by pressing on the pen, entering my information, and also adding a photograph, adding an image or a video onto my map. After I've edited the map, I can press save, and this is saved in the map. Following the timeline of this famous Ohioan, I can see later he went to the College of Worcester and graduated from there in 1932. If you follow the progression down the row of icons, as I added them, it will be in the same order as if a timeline of his life throughout time and place. Each of these locations correspond with the famous person. The possibilities are endless for your students to create maps and to see locations around the world. Some map tools you'll see here at the top is I can select items, I can add markers to maps, I can actually draw lines to connect shapes through maps, I can add directions, and I can measure distance in areas. By selecting the measuring tool, I can measure from one point to another and get a total distance. If you keep moving with this, it'll also measure the next distance and so on to add to this total miles. The measuring tool can be useful if you're having the students figure out time and distance. And sharing information within the famous Ohioans example. I'm now going to go back to Google Maps and start from scratch as if I was going to create my own. Clicking on Create a New Map will open up a new map in Google My Maps for you to be able to add information and drop pins. Depending on what kind of map you want your students to create, you can use maps for many different purposes. I'm going to go ahead and create a new map. The first step I try to do first is title my map. So in this one, we're going to give this a trip sample. I can also add a description here and show the details of what this map is going to be about. As this map is going to contain locations for a summer vacation, I'll press save, and I can start by adding a layer. You can determine if you want to have multiple layers. You can turn locations on and off. Let's say the first thing I want to add is a layer of attractions. These are places I want to stop on the way, visit, and things to do. I can also add a layer here, and maybe I want to have a layer that's nothing but restaurants. You can choose whatever layers you'd like the students to have, and you can add locations in those layers. For this one, I'm going to start my vacation in Cincinnati, Ohio. I can pinpoint an exact location, or I can just use the city. I can also put a full physical address for my home address. For students, if they're creating this trip and if they're driving, the best thing would be to put their physical address in. I'm going to press Cincinnati, Ohio, drop my pin on the map, and have it show up here. From here, I can just choose to add to the map, and I can add my other options. I'm going to go ahead and edit this information and just say this is my starting point. I can put an image here if I'd like to. I can add directions, and I can even change the style of my marker. Colors and shapes are things I can do this with. I'm going to go ahead and press the house and change the color of the icon to know where it is. As I add this information, you can see that this is located in my restaurant layer. If I want to move this to a different layer, I can drag it up and put it in the upper one. So if I put it in the attractions, I can start there. I can also make a whole other layer that would contain perhaps cities and other details. So for my trip, the next place I'm going to be going is Disney World. I might start with my end, start with the beginning and go to the end. As I drop the pin's going to be here until I add it to the map. So it's in a holding area at the top until I've added it to my map. Once I've added it, again, I can change the icon and style. And I can choose what kind of icon I'd like to have. After choosing my icon, I can add information. I can put information here and press save. To add an image for this location, I can press on the image button and go straight to More and do a Google image search. If I want to do Disney World and search for an image, I would like to use and import it into my map. I'm going to go ahead and select this image. I added it here and press save. So now when you hover over these points of interest by clicking on the actual pin or clicking on the name on the left-hand side, the picture will show up with the information that I've written below. I can zoom in and out of my map to show my travels. You can also do this with a mouse scroll in and out. For students, they might want to zoom out more at once. They can click from one point to the next. From here, I can do a lot of things with my map. I can stop at different points along the way. I can add more attractions, add restaurants to either one of my layers. It's up to you what you want the students to add. I'd recommend that you share the map. By sharing it, more than one student can work on a map. The same options show for you here as you would in a Google Doc or any of the Google Drive files. So you can invite people to collaborate with you, and you can allow them to edit the map as well. It's great for putting kids together and adding and working in groups. They create the map much quicker and they learn how to use maps much more effectively when they work together. Don't forget, you can also add lines and you can add shapes. If I wanted to add a driving route, I connect and draw a driving route from here, point A to point B. And from here, it'll give me a driving route with directions. From here, I can also just do a line or shape and change my options from there too. Don't forget, you can always measure distances too. From the same points we put on the map, all the way down here, following the road map, it'll show you different ways to travel there. I'm going to click off of the measuring tool and go to the left where you can see a driving